Color Box. Desde Bolivia, La Paz. Vanguardia Artística Internacional. Conducción del programa. Antagónica Furry.
Buenas noches, soy Antagónica Furry transmitiendo desde La Paz, Bolivia para Vanguardia Artística Internacional. En esta octava entrevista nos acompaña el gran artista estadounidense desde la ciudad de Boston, Estados Unidos, William Hemmerdinger. Bienvenido, querido William, a Vanguardia Artística Internacional. Sobre nuestro invitado, William nació en California en 1951. Es una figura clave del arte contemporáneo estadounidense. Su labor como artista, teórico, docente e investigador abarca más de 5 décadas de producción rigurosa e interdisciplinaria. Él obtuvo un título de asociado en artes en el College of the Desert, obtuvo su licenciatura en artes en 1973 en la Universidad de California, donde estudió arte, arquitectura, historia del arte e idiomas asiáticos. En 1975, William obtuvo su maestría en Bellas Artes en la Claremont Graduate School. Regresó a Claremont para completar su doctorado en filosofía con énfasis en estética. Tras graduarse de la Universidad de California, William obtuvo una beca en el Museo Nacional del Palacio de China y una residencia en el monasterio Myoshinji de Japón. Durante su estancia en Asia, colaboró con el grupo Quinta Luna de Fong Chun Rai y Liu Kuo-song, el grupo Lluvia Corredora y Hideo Sakata y Bong Tai-kim. Él inició su carrera explorando técnicas de acuarela, collage y arte conceptual, con una temprana vinculación a la Sociedad de Acuarela de California en 1971. Además de su trabajo con acuarelas y collage, William tuvo éxito con la pintura en técnica mixta, escultura, grabado y otras lecturas artísticas. Sus obras se conservan en varias instituciones de todo el país e internacionalmente, como el Museo Contemporáneo de Los Ángeles, el Museo de Arte Moderno de Seúl, así como en Londres, París, Tokio, Múnich y Nueva York. Paralelamente, William ha formado generaciones de artistas como profesor de destacadas universidades como Claremont Graduate School, California Institute of the Arts y Polonia College. También en Otis College of Design y actualmente en Boston Architectural College. Es un gran honor para nosotros tener en Vanguardia Artística Internacional a William Hemmerdinger para nosotros esta noche.
Good evening, I'm Antagónica Furry, broadcasting from La Paz, Bolivia, for the program International Artistic Vanguard. In this 8th interview, we're joined by a great American artist, William Hemmerdinger, from Boston, United States. Welcome, William, to the program, International Artistic Vanguard. About our guest, William Hemmerdinger, born in California in 1951, is a key figure in contemporary American art. His work as an artist, theorist, teacher, and researcher spans more than 5 decades of rigorous and interdisciplinary production. Hemmerdinger earned an Associate of Arts degree from the College of the Desert. He earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in 1973 from the University of California, Riverside, where he studied art, architecture, art history, and Asian languages. In 1975, Hemmerdinger earned her Master of Fine Arts degree from the Claremont Graduate School. She returned to Claremont to complete her Doctor of Philosophy with an emphasis in aesthetics. After graduating from the University of California, Riverside, Hemmerdinger held a fellowship at the National Palace Museum in China and a residency at Myoshinji Monastery in Japan. During her time in Asia, she collaborated with the Fifth Moon Group, Fong Chung-rae and Lu Kuo-sung, the Running Rain Group, Hideo Sakata, and Bong Tae Kim. William began his career exploring watercolor, collage, and conceptual art techniques, with an early association with the California Watercolor Society in 1971. In addition to his work with watercolors and collage, Hemmerdinger has enjoyed success with mixed media painting, sculpture, printmaking, and other artistic interpretations. His works are held in various institutions across the country and internationally, including the Los Angeles Contemporary Museum and the Seoul Museum of Modern Art, as well as in London, Paris, Tokyo, Munich, and New York. In parallel, William has trained generations of artists as a professor at prominent universities such as Claremont Graduate School, California Institute of the Arts, Pomona College, Otis College of Art and Design, and currently at Boston Architectural College. Welcome back, dear William, to the International Artistic Vanguard program.
Hello, Professor Rodriguez and Ms. Furry. Thank you for the opportunity to join Colorbox today in this presentation. I look forward to answering your questions, and I look forward to sharing with you some of the ideas that I have collected through a lifetime of creative work.
Iniciaste tu trayectística en las décadas de 1970, vinculado a la California Watercolor Society y desarrollando un lenguaje visual basado en el collage y la acuarela abstracta. De igual manera, has trabajado realizando obras en arquitectura, ensamblajes, de diseño ambiental, dibujo, grabado, ilustración, instalación, litografía, pintura, mosaicos, murales, así como esculturas de bronce y madera. Estimado William, ¿cómo describirías la evolución de esas primeras obras hasta llegar a tu práctica actual como artista multidisciplinario? ¿Y qué elementos de esa etapa temprana aún perviven en tu trabajo contemporáneo? Coméntanos, por favor.
William, you began your artistic career in the 1970s, associated with the California Watercolor Society, and developed a visual language based on collage and abstract watercolor. You have also worked in architecture, assemblage, design, drawing, printmaking, illustration, installation, lithography, painting, mosaics, murals, and bronze and wood sculptures. Dear William, how would you describe the evolution of those early works into your current practice as a multidisciplinary artist, and what elements of that early period still survive in your contemporary work? Please tell us.
Good morning, Professor Rodriguez and Ms. Furry. Thank you for the opportunity to answering your first question. You asked if I would describe what it is like to have a body of early work, and does this body of early work that was done 40 to 50 years ago influence the work that I do today, and do elements from that original body of work survive? My answer to that is yes. The boundary between being an artist who is young and the artist who is old is out of necessity porous. We tend to use the things that we became comfortable with 45 years ago and return to them consistently. It is a toolbox that every artist develops, and from that toolbox we occasionally remove things and discard them and do not repeat those techniques, technologies, styles, points of view. And then there are other times when we revisit them again and again. And this is the nature of being a creative person. We tend to take our individual insights into all matters, take our individual insights and transform them, change them over a period of time. And so as our lives evolve, our artwork evolves. Art is in many ways a living thing. It is the response to a live creature, and in the point of view of many both religious theorists and philosophers, the idea is that art completes God. The highest achievement of mankind is his creative work, his capacity to think and imagine and to dream and to build and to take control of his ideas and his universe. And if the highest achievement of mankind is to think and to create, and the highest order of achievement, the final accomplishment of heaven on earth, so to speak, is for man to fulfill himself and be a good custodian of others and to be a good custodian of the planet. Then, as I say, there are philosophers who would argue that art, as the highest order of achievement for mankind, and mankind is the highest order of achievement for God, and therefore we have over time developed this necessity to continue to explore what it is like to be a live creature, what it is like to continue to create, what it is like to forge and form new ideas, and in so doing, fulfill our destiny as an organism.
Durante tu juventud, estuviste inmerso en ambientes vanguardistas y tu formación se expandió hacia el arte asiático, la arquitectura y la estética. Incluso residiste en un monasterio zen en Japón. ¿Cómo influyó esta vivencia junto con tu vínculo con el grupo artístico en tu pensamiento creativo y en la forma en que entiendes el arte hoy en día?
Dear William, during your youth, you were immersed in avant-garde circles, and your training expanded into Asian art, architecture, and aesthetics. You even lived in a Zen monastery in Japan. How did this experience, along with your connection to the art group Fifth Moon, influence your creative thinking and the way you understand art today?
Miss Furry, you've asked me how did my experiences in Asia and my connection with the Fifth Moon group and others impact my creative thinking and the way I understand art today. First of all, let me say, even though I've spent most of my life in Los Angeles and Massachusetts, California and Boston, I have to say that I live in, shall we say, an Asian state of mind. I loved Asia. And for some, the reality of the urban centers of Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai, was a bit off-putting and intense. It was for me at first. But over time, I came to realize and see the reasons why I originally went there, my interest in Oriental brush painting, my interest in the great paintings of Liang Kai and Fan Quan, the Northern Song painters, the interest in the great bronzes of the earlier periods. I have to say that the interest in the Kamakura folding screens, the interest in the architecture, the Heian architecture, the philosophies of the Rinzai sect of Zen Buddhism, the garden designs, even the inlay of cobblestone in the ancient streets was imbuing or carrying a kind of aesthetic that is enviable and rarely seen in the West, although mimicked sometimes by certain architects and urban planners and artists who have come close to mastering these aesthetic properties. It genuinely is remarkable to live your life surrounded or thinking about the impact of Asian thinking on Western culture. I need not go much farther than to just point out to your readership the impact that sushi has had on cuisine. We have whole areas of cuisine that have borrowed or mimicked some of the style and some of the aesthetic and some of the patterns of food service or food preparation that have been in the traditions of Asia for decades, centuries, I should say. The natural beauty, the people, the cultural traditions, the life of Asia has always been a source of great inspiration for me, as it has been for others. I was blessed to form friendships with many Asian artists of the 20th century. Such artists as Matsumi Kanemitsu, Hideo Sakata, Bong Tai-Kim became lifelong friends. I corresponded throughout my life with Liu Kosung, Fong Chang-rei. I enjoyed many meals with and visits with Fong Chang-rei and Liu Kosung at their homes in Hong Kong and Taipei, respectively. Studying the arts of a wide range of people. I'm thinking, for example, of Seishu Teshigahara, made it possible for me to comprehend the potential, unlock the potential for being an artist who produces ikebana, or flower arranging, in one moment, and does stone carving or brush calligraphy in another. This is a standard studio day for certain artists. Members of the Gutai group would combine these approaches to making artwork. And so I learned and was inspired by these friendships, by my travels, by the things I was able to see and learn while visiting the Far East. I've enjoyed a number of trips and hope to return and learn more.
William ha sido la docencia en instituciones como Claremont Graduate School, Pomona College, California Institute of the Arts y Otis College of Art and Design, y actualmente en Boston Architectural College. ¿Qué impacto ha tenido tu experiencia como educador en tu propia práctica artística y qué valores consideras esenciales transmitir a las nuevas generaciones de artistas? Coméntanos, por favor, William.
William, you have taught at institutions such as Claremont Graduate School, Pomona College, California Institute of the Arts, and Otis College of Art and Design, and are currently at Boston Architectural College. What impact has your experience as an educator had on your own artistic practice, and what values do you consider essential to pass on to new generations of artists? Please tell us.
Ms. Furry, this is a two-part question. You ask about the impact of being an educator on my practice as an artist, and also what would I transmit to another generation. with regard to the first aspect of the question, the practice of being an artist and the practice of being a teacher are not mutually exclusive. One of the things that we need to do as artists is we need to be clear and articulate spokespersons for the works that we produce and the community that we represent. And therefore, when I'm speaking to you about the artwork that I produce, I try to be as precise as possible with the language that I use about my own artwork, as you will see in some of the examples that I've prepared for you. And also, I try to help others learn how to convey and communicate their ideas as well. So, being a teacher of painting and drawing, being a professor of art and architecture, is helping people who are conceiving ideas interpret those ideas both in pencil and in voice. And therefore, as an artist learns how to draw a structure, draw an urban plan, and they have to be able to speak intelligently about the expansion joints in a building or an expansion joints in a street, and articulate for others why their rendering portrays the items, the things of importance in a drawing. So I try to demystify whenever possible the notion that an artist is some kind of inspired fool who grabs things out of the universe and somehow transforms them into some thing of beauty and is wholly inarticulate about where this all comes from. It is much better for the artist to be a clear and articulate spokesperson for his or her interests. Now, with regard to the second part of the question, what are the values that are essential to transmit to a younger generation of artists? As I've argued before, being young and old, being inside and outside, it's all very porous. Being an artist is about being a live creature and having responses to nature, responses to interactions with other people. There are people who are beautiful, and we love them. And there are people who are odious, and we cannot stand them. And yet they all have an impact into the work that we are producing, the lives that we are leading, and they creep in, better or worse, into the beautiful objects we endeavor to create. Now, that said, one of the things that I learned from members of the artistic community that I was around, whether it was, the American painters, the Sam Francis, Richard Diebenkorn, the Europeans, whether it was the Fifth Moon Group, who you previously mentioned, or Hideo Sakata, Matsumi Kanemitsu, some of my friends, I learned the long, steady patience of trying to make manifest in the work that you are doing the values that you hope to express: judgment, ethics, kindness, generosity, being a good custodian for yourself, others, the planet. These are features of what the values I would hope to imbue with young people. I'm going to be a little bit boastful here and tell you that I'm very proud of the students that I've produced over the years. I have coached or participated in the development or the education of a couple of the finest award-winning architects on earth. a couple of the finest, best artists working on Earth today. Now, I did not do that alone. I did that as a part of a team of hundreds of faculty from various colleges who each in their own way contributed some small bit to the success of award-winning architects and artists. Did I say the right thing at the right time to one student or another? I believe that is part of what teachers do. Sometimes we're not entirely conscious of the fact that we're doing it, but it is part of imbuing the proper values, the proper point of view, the proper perspective to the students that you're working with. And hopefully they have a good, fulfilling life, and it has become valuable not just to the artistic community or architectural community, but also to the whole planet.
Estimado William, tu obra ha sido exhibida en importantes espacios internacionales como el Museum of Contemporary Art de Los Ángeles, el Museum of Modern Art de Seúl, así como en galerías de Nueva York, Londres, París, Múnich y Tokio. ¿Qué aprendizajes te ha dejado este recorrido global y cómo dialoga tu trabajo con diferentes culturas y contextos expositivos? ¿Qué nuevos proyectos se vienen? Coméntanos, por favor, estimado William.
Dear William, your work has been exhibited in important international venues such as the Museum of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles, the Museum of Modern Art in Seoul, as well as in galleries in New York, London, Paris, Munich, and Tokyo. What lessons have you learned from this global journey, and how does your work connect with different cultures and exhibition contexts? And what new projects are coming up? Tell us, William.
Daniel, this is always fun to participate in any project you produce. You are one of those extraordinary individuals, and you and the people in Color Box brighten my day when I hear from you, and brighten the world generally. Ms. Furry has asked the question, and I think it's an excellent question. What did I learn from my global journey as an artist? And how does my journey as an artist engage with the different cultures that I've been involved with? And then the second part of the question is what am I working on? That's probably a pretty easy question to answer, but the first part of the question is a little bit more challenging, the part with regard to the global experience. I'd have to say that my global experience has been such of learning from Kanemitsu and Sakata and others, a great deal of patience. I admired artists like the architect Alvar Aalto. Alvar Aalto designed both buildings and ashtrays. He created some amazing things. I don't think he ever fashioned himself as being someone who was not a creative person. I believe that Aalto took creative challenges and ran with them. And I think one of the things that we can do as artists in culture is when we're offered the opportunity to do something creative, we can say no. We're too busy, we're too important, we're too obsessed with our own ambitions and goals. Or we can say, what is it you wanted me to do? And pursue it. You can build some amazing and wonderful friendships some amazing and wonderful opportunities by asking that question. Instead of saying, no, I don't make lampshades, say, you want a lampshade? Really? From me? But the friendship that might evolve there, the opportunities that might evolve there are remarkable. This is a true experience. It happened to me. Someone came into my studio and asked if I made lampshades. And my first response was, of course, no, of course not. I don't make I'm an artist. I don't make lampshades. But I inquired, why would you ask such a question? Who told you I might be able to help you? Well, it turns out they weren't looking for a lampshade at all. They were looking for a sculpture that would have the feature of interfering with the traffic of light from a light bulb. Oh, well, that's a different question entirely, isn't it? So it created an opportunity for me to work in my studio for on a challenging question. And so I think one of the things we need to learn is to take the long view, be patient. I mentioned Teshigahara earlier, having the desire to do flower arranging one day and stone sculpture the next. Those two activities are not mutually exclusive. He was also a great teacher. 5 minutes later, he'd be in a classroom explaining his principles and ideas. To continue with your question, I think one of the things that I learned from Hideo Sakata, who would organize exhibitions, and then Sakata-san would at the exhibition, once the paintings were on the wall and the sculpture were on the pedestals, he would call in masters of the tea ceremony and present a tea ceremony in addition to the artwork. And so there was a cultural component outside of just the art on the wall or the sculpture on the pedestal or the prints in the print box. There would be taiko drum performers who would come in and give a performance. And these were rousing successes. They were wonderful. And then Sakata-san would do art camps where children would come into the galleries and they would paint their own paintings and in some instances mimic the art and the styles of the artists who had been included in the curated show. This is the kind of community outreach. This is the kind of thing that is of great value, and I would encourage anyone who's looking at a life in the arts to think of themselves both as an artist, a creator, but also write about art, curate exhibitions, talk about art and film, video on the internet, publish a blog, whatever means, form archives, build great collections. And if you get the opportunity to design a parade float, say yes. Daniel, this is an epilogue to my comments earlier in the other videos I prepared for you. You've asked what I am presently working on and what excites me right at this moment. I have to say that one of the things that has been exciting for me is I now have over 900 solo and group exhibitions to my credit. None of these exhibitions were done by me alone. These exhibitions were created by others, and I was included. In some instances, I was the driving force. In the instance of solo exhibitions, it's a solo show. In other instances, I've written articles. I've published small catalogs. I've done a number of things that put forward not only a philosophy of who I am, but also a philosophy of who we are. And an example of that would be my archive at the Getty Research Institute in Los Angeles, where over a 40-year period I collected information about all of the artists working in the city of Los Angeles, Southern California, and many of them around the Pacific Rim with whom I would have had contact. I archived all of this material, including photographs and films and all manner of press releases, personal correspondence, and I created an archive that fortunately the Getty Research Institute chose to preserve. And in so doing, I think one of the things that I am excited about is not only seeing the archive go forward, but also I'm in the process of archiving my own work and distributing my own work in such a way that it has a life after my demise, my eventual demise, and at which point there will be some artwork remaindered, and I hope that it is in good homes, preferably institutions, museums who have the capacity to care for over a protracted period of time, or in the permanent collections of collectors who are also conscious of the fact that artworks need to have a future. Now, with regard to what I'm working on right at the moment, in addition to a continuation of my interest in the archives, I'm coming up with 2 pop-up exhibitions, one in Peru and planning one for Ireland later in the fall. And then I'm also continuing to work on a performance piece with several other artists from Japan. It is a combination of a sculpture, a Buto dance performance, and a narrative on ethics, which I wrote many years ago, and we're now attempting to adapt it into a Buto dance performance. So that is of interest to me. I hope to accomplish that before too many more years go by. I am working on paintings. I have a couple of commissions that I'm presently involved with as well. So that, I believe, answers as an epilogue your question about what am I working on, and what my interests how my interests remain.
Gracias, estimado William, por permitirnos conversar contigo, conocerte y aprender sobre tu extensa trayectoria en el arte, siendo un referente vivo para el arte contemporáneo y vanguardia actual del mundo. Mi estimado William, hago presente los saludos del director del grupo artístico Color Box de Lima, Perú, el artista plástico Daniel Rodríguez, y de todos los que forman parte del grupo. De igual manera, te envío mis saludos y un fuerte abrazo desde La Paz, Bolivia. Bueno, gracias a todos por sintonizar este 8º programa de Vanguardia Artística Internacional. Soy Antagónica Furry, transmitiendo desde La Paz, Bolivia. Les quiero mandar un gran saludo a todos. Nos vemos en la siguiente entrevista y los dejo con William Hemmerdinger.
Thank you, dear William, for allowing us to talk with you, get to know you, and learn about your extensive artistic career, which will continue to be a living reference for contemporary and avant-garde art worldwide. Dear William, I send you greetings from the director of the Colorbox Art Group from Lima, Peru, visual artist Mr. Daniel Rodriguez, and everyone who is part of the group. I also send you my greetings and a big hug from La Paz, Bolivia. Well, thank you all for tuning into this 8th program of International Artistic Vanguard. This is Antagónica Furry speaking from La Paz, Bolivia. I send you my best regards, and I'll see you in the next interview with another sister country. I'll leave you with our great artist William Hemmerdinger. Good evening.
I wanted to give you a little bit of a close-up view of my calligraphic marks as they appear in one of my most recent paintings. This painting is called Poets, Magicians, and Glamorous Models Among Mountains and Streams. It's the largest and second version of two I painted on this theme. The painting is 7 feet by 7 feet tall by 10.5 feet wide, so it is quite substantive. The calligraphic marks that you see, for example, in certain areas of the painting are based on certain experiences I've had of forms in nature, and those calligraphic marks are like the expressions of the Japanese and Chinese grass writing style. Others are more or less background colors, but there's still some calligraphic marks that are based on leaf patterns in nature, X's, zeros, and then certain marks have an actual kind of calligraphic reference to language, written languages. Excepting, you might notice here that the brush strokes are not written from top to bottom as they might typically be in some oriental brushwork. They are written from bottom to top. This is an evolution that has come as I've worked with the calligraphic writing over a period of time. You can see that some of the marks are accentuated by certain spots of color. For example, you have the white marks with the pink in the playing the role of highlighting, and then the white and yellow in a kind of contrapuntal or counterpoint, almost like a musician's series of cadences. So as I pull back a little bit on this, you'll see that there are literally rows and rows or volleys of these calligraphic brush zones, if you will. And each of these zones may have hot or cool colors working not only against one another, but also with one another, as you can see in certain instances here. So one of the things that I'm exploring right now is how to make a work of art that replicates some of the vitality and the beauty that we see in organic material like lichen, oysters in the sea bed, clams, of course, other forms of mollusks. I remember the philosopher Guy Cercello one time saying that one of the most interesting things he had seen in his lifetime of studying of nature was the track of snails in the wet garden. So there is an extent to which we don't have to look very far to find exciting subject matter that becomes a source for inspiration. Here, for example, you can even see how I try to cultivate or capitalize use of some of the runs that are present when I turn the canvas vertical, and some of the moisture in the water pushes back the pigments that are drying in the lower portion of the canvas. This is a technique that I've started to use from time to time, as you can see in the lower corner of this canvas. Thank you, Daniel and Miss Furry, for the opportunity to speak with Colorbox today from my home and studio in Eastern Massachusetts. I'm always grateful and supportive of the creative community's desire to understand more fully of those of us who continue to practice. Thank you again.
Color Box. Vanguardia Artística Internacional.
To everything.